keep meaning to put a countdown thingy on here because I don't know, that would add some excitement to it. Yeah, I keep forgetting to. So I'm just live. PBR, in memory of Eddie Van Halen, why don't you go ahead and jump on your kitchen table and wrap up? Yes, and Johnny Nash. That's actually one of Mrs. Angry's. I don't know if it's a favorite song, but she sings it a lot. I can see clearly now. She actually told me that Johnny Nash had died. Yeah, my favorite story of Eddie Van Halen is someone showing him up for being a dick, actually. Chris, hello to you. And take a sip. My very purple blood orange juice. The blood orange varies from batch to batch. Previous ones I've had have been very red. The most recent blood oranges I got, this is diluted. There's only a little bit of blood orange, mostly lemonade. But, there's a video I'm putting up on my cocktail channel on Friday that shows just how purple the blood orange juice actually was, because I use it in the cocktail. Yeah, it's a thing that happens. And yes, PBR, I did hear that Akadaka, they're going to do another album and possibly play live again. Is that the dealio? Chris, two of the music legends dead same night. Seattle Storm win the WNBA title in an empty gym 4,000 miles away. Yes, the sports are in a very strange place at the moment. Chris Leslie, yes, I have a cocktail channel called Angry Cocktails. I actually just put a video up before going live. It's one I shot on last Friday night's live stream. I edited it in the intervening time, and it's gone live. It's a vodka and strawberry cocktail, Wanton Abandon, which I completely admit I made just because of the name. The name, Wanton Abandon. Gave me a bit of a chuckle, and I thought, I need to make that. I need to make Wanton Abandon. And also, because it has strawberries in it, and it's peak strawberry season in Australia at the moment, so they're really cheap. So it's a good excuse to use some fresh strawberries in a cocktail. Very simple cocktail, in fact. All right, Chris. Well, the stream gets recorded, so it's fun to be live, but you can always catch up. Catch you later. Yes, I wear my lumberjack. It's a bit colder. Today, yesterday, day before, a bit more like winter weather here in Melbourne. Rainy and much cooler than it had been. So the lumberjack shirts have come out. Because they're warm and comforting, which is good on days like this. Chris, so you're into the WNBA. You went to the last championship game in 2018. Yeah. I'm sure that was a very entertaining game as well. As I say, I'm not a huge sports head, but I don't deny that at the elite level, sports is pretty goddamn dynamic. So I don't spend an enormous amount of time watching it, but going to see a game live, I think is much more appealing than watching it on TV. I have to admit that various things I'd had in mind that I would like to do at some point if visiting America was go to a baseball game, go to a basketball game, and go to a football game, just to see what it's like being in the crowd at those spectacles. Glee, hello. Oh, you didn't hear about Johnny Nash until just now. Yes. Yes, Johnny Nash and Eddie Van Halen on the same day. So there you go. PBA going to Coles. Okay, enjoy the trip to the supermarket. Chris, you prefer women's basketball, more to prove on the court than men usually? Yeah, I mean, again, at the elite level, I imagine it's pretty dynamic stuff. I'd like to experience that, see what it's like. Invisible Chicken, hello to you. Because like I'm not into sports in Australia, but I have gone to see Australian rules football games a couple of times. And if someone visits from out of town, particularly from out of the country, during a normal football season, I often say it's worth checking it out because it's quite a feeling to be in the MCG with a big crowd going nuts for the football, even if I like personally don't give a shit at all. Um, yeah, the spectacle of a live sport is a thing. Chris, you reckon the best place for a baseball game would be the oldest stadium in America, Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field. Even I've heard of that. And I'm amazed the name of it hasn't changed with a modern sponsor, quite honestly. Yeah, it's it, capitalism above everything these days, it seems. But yeah, although I've heard that baseball goes on for a long time and can be very boring, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to give it a go, experience a crowd like that, and just see what it's like. Be a little bit interesting, I think. Yeah, I like to do different things, and also you like probably similar thing. Go to a soccer match in the UK or Europe where they're mad passionate for the football. Nice PBO. So New York Yankees at the original Yankee Stadium. Excellent. Chris grew up on the Cubbies. All right. Bonjour, well gifted Aspie. Yes, uh, it's all those things. I mean, what? I haven't been in any. I haven't been to any really major sporting events. Like I said, I've just gone to a couple, like a small handful of Australian rules football games with someone who was visiting, and yeah, it's an experience, really. Oh, Chris, you work in broadcast sports and arena video as well. Okay. Um, oh, you put on the show. Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. It's the spectacle of it all. Yes. It's yeah, it's just fun to experience things like that. I think. I don't think it's good. I don't think it would make me a sports convert or get deeply involved in it. But I think it would be, yeah, an enjoyable couple of hours. I think I don't know. Do baseball games go like all day or half a day or something? I always get the suggestion that baseball goes on for a long time. But you forget, I grew up on cricket. That a game that is over in one day is regarded as a fast game because the classical form of the game goes over 5 days. Christian Misa, ESPN, they were the most fun to work for. Oh, well, hopefully you get more fun work in the future. It's definitely, it's, there are certain things about this pandemic that are completely predictable. But I think like we're discovering a lot like, oh, as soon as the fucking wheels come off, really, really weird shit starts happening. Nobody, good evening. You're like the NHL. I suppose that could be another one. I didn't actually think of hockey, that ice hockey, although, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the hockey has smaller crowds, smaller venues than the other sports. I could easily be wrong because I speak from pure ignorance. Um, but yes, I have to admit, the ice hockey wasn't one that was on my radar. Uh, I hadn't really considered that. Wouldn't rule it out, um, but it isn't one that I'd really thought of in the same way as the other big sporting things. And maybe that's just lack of awareness on my part, quite frankly. Oh, there you go. Okay, Chris, I thought you might actually know. Minor league hockey in Portland fills up the NBA stadium. It's a hockey town. Okay. Yes, I know some places are way more into the hockey than others. So, and yes, I'm aware that it's a huge deal in Canada. Uh, and I guess the northern part of the US, where it's colder and icier, so more people sort of grow up on ice. You wouldn't expect ice hockey to be a big thing in Nevada or any of the southern states, for that matter. Where you'd expect it to be a very alien thing for them. Ah, Chris, the whole Pacific Northwest loves soccer. Okay. I actually got the impression women's soccer was bigger in the US than men's soccer. Yes, Glee. If there's any matches going on now, you see a hockey match with no audience and basketball. Yeah, yeah, because there are very few places in the world that would allow crowds into a sports stadium. There's probably some places, uh, but they're few and far between, and don't know when anything remotely approaching normal is going to happen. I mean, you keep looking at the US, and it's just like, Jesus, is that going to stay at its current fairly awful state, or is it going to explode and get much, much worse? And can't help thinking it's going to explode and get much, much worse. All right, Chris, you're saying sometimes in Portland the women's soccer team outsells the men's team. Yeah, certainly at the international competitive level, the women's team seems much more successful than the men's team. Uh, yes, so it's one of those things. Sports was always too rough for the ladies because you don't get much, if any, ice hockey in Australia. You get field hockey. Field hockey is very popular, and Australia does very well at field hockey in both women's and men's at the international level. And field hockey can be super fucking aggressive. Even at like school level, like it was a sport that was played when I was at school, mainly by girls. That was the girls' game, but they were brutal as fuck. And because I went to a Catholic school, and my sister played on the team, and she would told me years later, like their coach was a nun, and they weren't allowed to be aggressive, and particularly not allowed to swear at the other team. And because the other teams were state schools, and they were not at all shy about swearing at someone. They took out like "fuck you, bitch," and my sister's team was forbidden by the nun from swearing at anyone or even being particularly aggressive. So they came up with this absolutely fantastic passive aggressive way of infuriating the other team. Like if they sort of took someone out, knocked them down, they would say, "God bless you." Or they would take their ankles out and "God bless you." Whereas the other team like "fuck you, bitch," and they'd be "God bless you," and it actually seriously infuriated the other team, which is quite funny. Chris, do they wet the field the entire time? No, although I have heard they do that if it's on artificial turf, because artificial turf is fucking nasty. Um, on grass, they don't wet the field. I kind of heard this thing because you get really fucking nasty friction burns off artificial turf when you go sliding about, and I have heard of them watering that down. Are you cooking something with fruit from the sounds of that? You played hockey at girls' secondary school. Yeah, absolutely feral. That was the thing. Go for the ankles. Take someone's ankle out for you. I mean, I heard stories of girls losing fingers, like their hand getting between two hockey sticks that smashed in and just crushing their fingers. Just like absolute feral schoolgirl hockey players. It's one of the few sports that, you know, when I grew up was the girls that they hadn't toned it down. Like, you know, netball is like a toned down version of basketball for girls, because girls are a bit more precious on it. You know, and girls weren't allowed to play football, but they could play field hockey, and it was brutal as fuck. I was just like, yep. It's very interesting that somehow they never came up with a tame version of field hockey. That was the one sort of really aggressive sport when I was growing up that girls could play. Chris, what's rough? Women's college soccer. Shit was brutal. Be feeling full speed girls tripping fly. Yeah, see, girls weren't even considered to be allowed to play soccer when I grew up. That's a comparatively recent thing. And of course, you know, they were encouraged to play soccer before they were encouraged to play real hard physical contact, like rugby league or Australian rules football. The women's Australian rules competition has just been kicking off in the last couple of years and getting more and more popular. Louis Batten, we are discussing gender in sport. Which anyone who knows me might be going, why the fuck are you talking about sport? Oh, the conversation came up. We talk about everything. And yeah, somewhat unusually for me, tonight the conversation has been about sport. So yeah. Chris, one of your viral vids, two players colliding, one does a cartwheel in the air. Holy shit. That sounds intense. I remember a little video mashup someone did. It was a couple of years ago, and it was splicing together. I think it was actually from a World Cup soccer match. It was either a World Cup soccer match or a European League soccer match, and because you know the slightest infringement in soccer, physical infringement, gets you a free kick. So the soccer players are always taking dives to try and get free kicks. And there was this one bit of video, the soccer players in there, one of the opposition team guys walked across and flicked his ear like a school kid thing, flicked the tip of his ear. And the guy didn't see who did it. He just went, ow, what was that? And then he looked at him and saw it was this guy from the other team. So he suddenly starts screaming, ow, 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 holds his head and falls down like he's been mortally wounded because he's trying to get a free kick. And that was juxtaposed with this woman from the American rugby team. There was a women's international rugby competition, and her face was smashed the fuck up from a tackle. There was blood everywhere. And she's just running down the field like after getting smashed in the face in a tackle, and just spits blood out and keeps going. And the juxtaposition of this guy getting his ear flicked and screaming and falling over and begging for a free kick, and this woman with just blood pouring and just spitting blood and going on. It was just fucking hilarious. Feely and Sealer, hello. Louis Barton. Okay, fair enough. Good call. Friend name. Glee, volleyball was rough at your ladies' secondary school. Yep, I could see volleyball being rough as well. Chris, you had an announcer at your old job, played in the 70s, every sport imaginable, protested college to start sports. Crazy stories. That does sound wild. Mandatory breaks in basketball, 3 minutes, so the girls didn't get too tired. People come up with the most ridiculous ideas of the shortcomings of other people. Like, you look at the history of discrimination on the basis of race, and it just, people who thought they were being rational were saying the dumbest shit. And then, discrimination on the basis of gender. Again, people think they're being rational and they just say really stupid shit. Like, there's always this really ridiculous argument, like, oh, do you think men and women are equal? A woman couldn't compete in the NFL with all those big blokes. And it was like, well, there actually probably are a couple women who could, but also the number of men who could compete at that level is just a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of the population, like 1% of 1%. So it's like the argument that means something is pretty goddamn stupid. Hey, Annette, that's a grand opening. Fuck, what's that about? Glee, do they still do oranges at halftime? They should in soccer. That's what I always grew up, oranges at halftime in soccer. Chris, what's sexist? The commissioner of the NCAA Sports League says women's sports aren't that important to film. We need to. Yes. Yeah. No, that's the belief that people don't want to see women's sports is pervasive. It's ridiculous. Invisible Chicken played netball, can be tricky. Got tripped first game playing University Brews, pretty bad. Oh, yeah. It's supposed to be the more genteel, but there will always be people who will get a bit rough. Yes, nobody. It is a true thing. There are a lot of women who could effortlessly kick ass at male-dominated areas. Just ridiculous prejudices limit them. Nat, made yourself a super strong Godfather kid, came in ranting about philosophy stuff all over brain dribble. Okay, decompress time, Annette. It's decompress time. If you had to deal with teenage philosophy. Yeah, Ophelia would say that the idea of men's and women's championships in games like chess is weird as fuck. And now, again, historically, women have been super marginalized in that sort of thing and didn't have the same opportunities as male players. But yeah, it's weird. Chris, you actually walked away from a deal after he said that shit. Well, good on you, man. Good on you. Timothy, hello. How are you? Nobody, you reckon netball's harder than basketball? Shit at both. I am shit at literally every sport, anything that requires physical coordination. And this is at any point in my life, really, not just now that I'm a lazy fat bastard and old. But I did play. I played soccer for years and was always terrible at it. Then I played Australian rules for a couple years, and I'm no good at it, but it was fun. Australian rules is definitely a more fun sport to play than soccer, in my opinion. Anyway, I certainly had much more fun playing it. So it is what it is. And yeah, that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say on the matter. It is what it is. Didn't Trump say that about COVID or something stupid? Oh man. Still in this weird zone of not actually knowing what Trump is fucking doing, because you cannot believe a goddamn word that the people around him say. It's ridiculous. Chris, you suffered a head injury. In every sport you're forced to play, you lost your physical education. Damn. Even flag football, you wore a helmet. Good call, really. Visible Chicken, you actually dissociated while playing netball one time. Brain overloaded trying to keep up. Yeah, I could see it being a bit intense, yeah. And you pretended to play soccer and had fun. That's good. I remember one thing. So I had fairly significant surgery on this ear when I was at school, and so I stopped playing soccer for a while, and like God, probably for a couple of months. I don't remember, but I was really missing it. I decided I wanted to play in a game, and it was probably about a week or two before I was meant to start again. But I thought, a week, what's going to happen? And anyway, I'm playing, and this fucking thug from the other team, uh, considerably bigger than me, and we were both going for a header, and he didn't even attempt to head the ball. And he was on this side of me. It was this ear that I had surgery on. He was on this side of me. He didn't even attempt to go for the ball and just fucking headbutted me right on the ear. And I went down in a screaming heap. Like, didn't actually hurt that much. It just because he literally, I jumped, and this big guy just smacked into the side of my head, and I went poof. And one of my teammates, I don't think he was really concerned for me, but he latched onto the opportunity. We're definitely getting a free kick out of it. He just had surgery on that ear. And so we got a free kick. But the fucker did do it on purpose, but I didn't suffer any damage from it. Yes. Invisible Chicken. Well, we don't know that Trump is actually resuming work. He was doing those stupid photo ops. But we actually don't know. And yes, Stephen Miller proves the disease has jumped species again. It affects lizards now. And you spend a bit of your life wondering what the fuck's going on. That's a fair reaction. And that is a good point, Chris. Probably by the weekend, by Sunday, we should know with a bit more accuracy how Trump's doing. But it's absolutely clear they're going to lie as much as they possibly can. Timothy, you haven't been able to play sport because of scoliosis surgery. Yeah, I can understand that. Yes, you're right that Trump didn't look as orange as usual, but he clearly had someone do his makeup for a photo op as well. But yeah. Chris, strawberry lemonade. Nice. Blood orange lemonade. Feeling silly. Took a girl to the park to play basketball, bragging how great I was back in the day. Proceeded to shoot 5 air balls. Damn. Her daddy worship died on that day. Damn, dude. Annette, why don't you have flannelette shirts? Flannelette shirts are great. I've got about half a dozen in different colors. This is probably the last flannelette shirt weather till next autumn. I'd be very surprised if we get another cool spell like these couple of days. Yeah, anything could happen, but I would definitely be surprised. Nobody. Is it too much to ask Trump could pass the Republican or give the virus to the Republicans and kill them? It is not too much to ask. That could absolutely happen. Chris, in the Northwest, half your wardrobe's flannel. That's fair. And it used to steal them off boyfriends. That's a common thing, apparently. Well, Invisible Chicken Trump said he's going to do the next debate. But the idea of Trump saying he's going to do anything until we see how COVID's actually going to affect him is ridiculous. Like, I don't think he was seen today. I could be wrong. Let's see. I remember seeing a headline like he wasn't seen for a day. Has he made any more public appearances? Let me see. Looking for news. Oh, yes, all the latest polls are Donald Trump's going to get absolutely smashed in the election. And I wouldn't believe them yet if you're an American. You should be voting, encouraging other people to vote. Don't take anything for granted because yeah. I'm just trying to find a story. Yeah. Where was it? Did he appear in public? This is the one. All right, this was on ABC News on their website. So again, the ambiguous phrase from the lying doctor saying the president reports no symptoms. Yeah, it's very, very important that you look at those actual words. The doctor didn't say Trump's doing well. The doctor said that Trump himself reported no symptoms. So that's not Trump's not showing symptoms. That's not Trump's really fucking sick. It's just Trump's statement was that he had no symptoms. And these people have shown that they shamelessly lie. Had a restful night and reports no symptoms. It's fucking ridiculous. It is absolutely possible Trump is going to show absolutely minimal symptoms after contracting the coronavirus. It's just very unlikely. Given his status, be a less than 10% chance. Hecky deck, yes, Trump is fucking with our brains. Absolutely. Louis Batten, you reckon if Trump dies, they should put Don Jr. up? I looked up the rules. They can actually put up whoever they want. I think they'd just go Pence. I don't think they would do anything else. It would just be Pence, I think. But if Trump dies or withdraws before the election, the Republican Party can just say, okay, this is our nominee now. And it doesn't have to be Pence, but it almost certainly would be. Don Jr. is a funny one. That guy's a fucking mutant. Yes, Chris. Trump is on lots of drugs. He's high on people have looked at the concoction he's been given, the cocktail of stuff he's been given. They're like, real possible side effects of this are mania and derangement. And how would we tell? Hellion, hello to you, Kirsten. See, feeling silly, you hit on exactly what I've been thinking. Polling looks very bad for Trump. He could actually take this as an opportunity to withdraw. It could be a result that he would really like. He could withdraw, like he's, too unwell to fulfill the office of president. Pence steps up. Pence almost definitely loses the election. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But almost definitely. And then Trump gets to carry on his bullshit from the sidelines and say, I never lost an election. I didn't lose an election. I would have won. I would have won so big. I would have won so big. Everyone loves me. Everyone loves me. And he just gets to carry on his bullshit from the sidelines, continue to grift from people saying, I could run again. I could run again, and do fundraising thing and get millions of dollars from fucking morons who would send it to him. But yeah, Louis Barton, there's a lot of people who would jump on the Trump dynasty. Republican base would love the idea of Trump being a martyr and Don walking in his footsteps. No. But I literally don't know. I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I don't know. But yes. Oh, yeah, that's right, Chris. Trump did also say he's not revisiting any concept of financial relief for the pandemic until after the election, which is gonna be super unpopular. Oh, nobody. Trump would absolutely call an election loss a conspiracy and a fraud, and that there is no doubt whatsoever he would do that, which is a little bit scary. But yeah, if he doesn't even contest it, that's actually way easier. He just gets to carry on his bullshit from the sidelines. Yeah, Invisible Chicken, it's very difficult to know what goes on his weird fucking brain. Um, Him admitting to the fact he's going to lose probably would be a challenge to his ego. But he is probably too sick to go. He probably will be in a week. He will probably be too sick to do a fucking thing. Uh, um, there's a strong chance of the decision being taken out of his hands. Like again, he doesn't have to. Well, if he's on a respirator, he's definitely that Pence definitely steps in at that point. But he doesn't have to be on a respirator if he's just laid flat out and doesn't have any energy to do anything but just barely keep breathing. They'd invoke the 25th Amendment and have Pence step into the role as president. But yeah. We live in weird times. We just don't fucking know what's going to happen, and that's the bit that does my head in. Chris, you want the Rona to get him? I don't know. Could you imagine? And this is honestly, this thought is more vindictive than wanting him to die. Really, could you imagine that he just gets it bad, which is a very likely outcome, and that shortens his life considerably. And for the rest of his miserable life, he never properly recovers. He can't walk unaided. He can't speak without having, can't say a sentence without having a coughing, wheezing fit. Imagine someone with his ego and someone with all his bullshit and bluster being brought low like that. That would be quite a punishment for him. Yeah, Chris, of course the Joint Chiefs of Staff would fucking isolate from Trump. The idea of the chain of command or fucking getting it at the same time is terrible. Can you imagine them telling him, like, dude, no, fuck off, don't come near us. Talk on a fucking laptop, you fucking idiot. See, buddy, I'm actually more vindictive than you. Having him permanently incapacitated by it would be a bit sweet. Yes, all on the international stage net. Oh, Chris, I thought they'd all returned negative tests. Even with one negative test, they should all be isolating. But yeah. Feelings, you raise a good point. If Trump dies, would the world leaders give fake, sorrowful tributes? They'd have to be torn because it's been obvious that apart from a couple suckholes like Scotty from marketing and Johnson in the UK, that most leaders fucking hate him. Yeah, how much could they push themselves? I mean, they would say, and because it's a genuinely turbulent thing for America. It's a genuine global security risk for something that dramatic to happen, and so they could offer genuine feelings for the people of America and hoping the people of America recover from this and all that sort of thing. But yeah, considering the vast majority of world leaders, if Trump fucking carked it, it'd just be ding dong, the witch is dead, basically. Oh, Chris, Boris Johnson's a fucking piece of shit. Yeah. Louis Vuitton, we're underestimating Trump's proclivity towards authoritarianism. He's horrible, crippled from COVID. He won't accept an election loss. Yeah, but what he won't accept is irrelevant. I know a lot of people freaked out that he won't leave, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, he will leave. He doesn't want the visual of being marched out by the Secret Service. I mean, he's look, okay. Trump is definitely his narcissism and authoritarian tendencies have made him really unhinged. And yes, he absolutely could do something very, very stupid. I think, okay, notwithstanding that I keep making predictions, I think any predictions, if someone says this is definitely as bullshit, I have very definite ideas of the parameters of what's possible. But do I conceive of stuff that's so outrageous I didn't think it could happen actually happening? Yes. The world's fucking weird. The world is fucking weird. Safa, good evening to you. Had your cheeky Nando's for lunch. I'm doing the light and easy. Did I say that? Yeah. So I know I made a pizza at lunchtime. Shared it with young Mr. Angry, and had a lasagna for dinner. For those who are watching. Yeah, no, Chris. Okay, like I said, no prediction is infallible, but that conspiratorial level thinking of Trump being propped up by will happen. Asterisk unless it does. Hey, Justin, how you doing? Justin, what is the show The Louded Voice? I am not familiar with it. It actually sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. Yeah, it is not something that I'm immediately familiar with. So I've got to look. Okay, so we're a couple of days away from Friday, and I use Friday to record some cocktail videos for next week. So I gotta go. Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong thing. I don't want to do that. Search, go to search. I'm gonna search. Gonna get this. Okay. So I want to see if I can come up with a theme for 3 cocktails. Hey, Robot Man Greg, how you going? Okay. Yes. I thought it was vaguely for me. Yes. Loudest Voice is about Roger Ailes and Fox News, which, incidentally, if you didn't notice the title of the video, today is the anniversary of Fox News starting broadcasting in the US. Possibly one of the most damaging things to happen to democracy in the last 50 years. And Murdoch generally is one of the most damaging things to happen to democracy in the last 50 years. Chris, did I hear the Masked Singer Australia stole a cover from a YouTuber earlier this year? How do you steal a cover? See, I've heard people say this sort of thing before, that someone had success with doing a cover in a particular style, and they go, "Oh, they stole it off X, who did it in that style first." To which I'd raise 2 points. It's a fucking cover version, for fuck's sake. And second, how the fuck do we know that other person was the first person to do that sort of arrangement? And how do we know that they didn't come up with them independently? I have extraordinarily little time for people who say, "Oh, that person ripped off my cover," like it's a fucking cover. Justin, you think, well, okay, you say Trump might beat Murdoch as being the worst thing to happen to democracy, but Trump only happened because of Murdoch. It's as simple as that. Trump only happened because Fox News drove America insane. It's as simple as that. So I want to come up with some cocktail ideas. So if anyone's ever wanted me to make a particular cocktail, now's the time to speak up. But what date? Monday is the 12th. Okay. The 12th is the National Day of Savings Day, Vermont Day, Free Thought Day, Farmers Day, Gumbo Day, Kick Butt Day, Online Bank Day, Native American Day, Columbus Day. Oh, okay, yes. Competing holidays in America. And then we've got Train Your Brain Day, Yorkshire Pudding Day, Navy Birthday, Metastatic Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and No Bra Day happening the same day. There you go. Dessert Day, Be Bald and Be Free Day, Curves Day, Emergency Nurses Day, Bring Your Teddy to Work Day, Stop Bullying Day. Well, you're going to get bullied if you take your teddy bear to work or school, honestly. Fossil Day, Take Your Parents to Lunch Day, Shawarma Day, Aesthetician Day. What the fuck is that? Okay, I have to look that up. That sounds stupid as fuck. Skincare professionals. Oh, Jesus Christ. That is stupid as fuck. Robot Man, dive bar cocktails. What's a good dive bar cocktail? Wow. Okay, that's a bit unsettling. Feeling Sheila, your wife said Trump brought Christ to the White House. Trump is A, obviously an atheist, B, obviously a horrible person, C, obviously an incredibly nasty hypocrite. Do you even a cursory reading of the Bible would tell you if a tenth of that was true, Trump would be going straight to fucking hell. Trump's the fucking antichrist. This weird again. This is what I mean about Fox News driving America insane. This like moral majority shit that started in the 70s and started to equate the Republican Party with moral and Christianity, and the Democrats with depravity and sin, no matter what the character of the actual people uh, is absolutely bizarre. Kirsten, you're stepping up to just defend aestheticians, skincare people. Oh, wow. Feeling silly. You ended up separated to divorce 3 months after that statement. Yikes. Oh my God. Glee, where you put Jägermeister into a pot of beer. What's that? Bloody awful? It sounds bloody awful. Yes, nobody. It is absolutely a really disgusting perversion of Christianity to say Trump is a Christian. Anyone who does that is either completely delusional or an incredibly sick, evil person who is just after power at any cost. So you're either stupid or fucking evil, basically. Justin, what would I be doing a US election day? Probably obsessing about it, quite honestly. So I'm still going through national days. What did I get up to? The 15th, Shawarma Day, Latino AIDS Awareness Day, Grouch Day. That's a good one for me. And then we get Sports Day, Liqueur Day. Okay. That's a gimme, really, isn't it? The 16th. What day of the week is the 16th? That's Friday. Friday is Liqueur Day. How to observe National Liqueur. Drink liqueur. That's kind of obvious. And then there's Edge Day, Mulligan Day, Pasta Day, Black Poetry Day, Sweetest Day, Exascale Day, Legging Day, Chocolate Cupcake Day, No Beard Day. Well, fuck No Beard Day. I'm not shaving. Okay, here's a competing website with their days. So what did they say happens on the 12th? Columbus Day, Farmers Day, Kick Butt Day, Pulled Pork Day. That's my type of day. Herpes Awareness Day. There you go. M&M Day. National Transfer Money to Your Son Day. I must make sure my son doesn't know about that. Dessert Day. Pet Obesity Day. I assume that means awareness of why you shouldn't let your pet be obese, not make your pet obese day. I think. Hand Washing Day. Cheese Curd Day. Grouch Day. I Love Lucy Day. Maths Day. Cat Day. Bosses Day. Well, fuck Bosses Day. Feral Cat Day. It's fitting that Bosses Day and Feral Cat Day are the same day, quite honestly. Oh, yeah, and we've got Liqueur Day. Maybe I should come up with something for Liqueur Day. Eminem's birthday on Saturday. Oh, there you go. Apart from Liqueur Day, nothing really leaps out at me. Justin, you're getting hailstorms in Canberra. Dang. Lou, but do you think results won't be in on the day? No, there's predicted to be a lot of postal votes this election. Safa, there probably is a no beer day, actually. Safa, the Lucy would be Lucille Ball from the old show I Love Lucy. But let me see. So, a good question about Anthony Green is are the ABC doing any sort of broadcast for the US election? I do not know. Oh, that's the other one I should check for day is the Difford site. They do a cocktail of the day. Today is National Frappe Day. So Monday the 12th. What do they say for next week? Cocktails for next week. Okay, this is a good one. National Day in Spain. So they say a sangria cocktail. What's actually in their sangria cocktail? Red wine, of course, cognac, orange juice, apple schnapps, creme de framboise, strawberry liqueur. I don't have a lot of those things, so I won't do that. But, okay, I need to look up absinthe and sherry cocktail. I wonder if there's a cocktail that has absinthe and sherry, because they're both Spanish. Ooh, I think sherry, amaretto, absinthe, and Creole bitters. I think that's a winner, because I've got Spanish sherry, Spanish absinthe. Instead of amaretto, I think I'll do Aussie Mac liqueur and Peychaud's bitters. I think that's what I'll make on Monday. Oh, that's a good one for Spanish National Day. Rebel Man Greg. I've not really watched Planet America. I've seen a little bit of it. They're doing US election. Feelings here, more COVID cases in the White House than all of New Zealand. There'll soon be more fucking COVID cases coming from the White House than are in Melbourne, let alone New Zealand. It's weird. So, all right. So that's one. Need to make a note of this one, actually, so I don't forget, because I often have these great ideas and don't write them down. And okay, I just write this down. A Patong. Patong Cocktail. Okay. I have the Patong Cocktail. Safi, your sister went back to Melbourne. She's brave. She'd be stuck in Plague Town now. You come in, Melbourne's like Hotel California at the moment. You can check in, but you can never check out. At least that's how it feels at the moment. Look at that fucking moron who was working in the country area while actually having the virus and breaking the rules and having a sit-down meal at a fucking cafe and giving it to other people. What a fucking piece of shit. People are so fucking shit. So if I've ever used an Android mobile, no. The only smartphone I've ever had is an Apple iPhone. Prior to, and there was an iPhone 3 was the first iPhone I got. Prior to that, I was, non-smartphones. I think the last phone I had was a Nokia, in fact. Yes, once I moved to smartphones, it's always been an iPhone. Okay, so that's one cocktail idea. I'm very happy with that. 13. GMT's birthday. Greenwich Mean Time. Okay. The anniversary of Greenwich Mean Time. It's kind of boring. What else is there? It's the 50 pence pieces birthday. Yeah. There you go. Anniversary of English defeat by the French. Huh. That was the Norman conquest of England. There you go. Anniversary of Britain's worst mining accident. Someone attempted to kill Roosevelt. He was an ex-president at that point. A bar owner tried to kill him. Murder attempt apparently motivated by a dream in which William McKinley, president whose assassination first brought Roosevelt to power, asked him to avenge his death and pointed to a picture of Roosevelt. Frank's bullet did indeed hit Roosevelt. Politician was protected firstly by a steel spectacle case, second by a 50-page copy of his speech. Roosevelt would carry the bullet inside him until he died, and Schrank would spend the rest of his life in an insane asylum. There you go. Ghost told him to do it. Nobody. I understand that impulse saying, someone recklessly spreading the virus should be a criminal offense, including incarceration. But laws like that are just open to just horrific abuse. And because laws like that have existed in the past and they've always been abused, and they've always been applied disproportionately to already marginalized people. So I understand the impulse to say it, but it's kind of bad. Justin, have I ever built my own computer? No, I'm actually way too lazy. Even though, it's comparatively easy. There's lots of tutorials. And it's these days with a lot of computers, it's like Lego building. You plug that in and then you plug that in. But no, I've never bothered to because I'm really lazy. You think I look white as a sheet. Depends what you see me on. And also, I am really pale. If I look at oh yeah, it is flaring a lot off my huge expanse of forehead. Yeah, stop that. But that's just the way it is. Feeling you worked for Avis when you got hit with a hailstorm. 200 damaged cars. Damn. Yeah, those big hailstorms can really do a number on it. So for 2 points, yes, I know the person had authorization for work. I'd be interested if they had any symptoms at all, but they did very specifically break the rules by having a sit-down meal, and they're fucking infected people. They're a cunt. Whether that's from ignorance or just malice and not giving a fuck, that person is a fuckwit. That person is a fucking piece of shit. Just that, and they're one of hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are continually doing shit just because they can't be bothered doing the right thing. And it's just like, oh, fuck them. Chris used to build computers but gave up and bought Apple computers. I had an Apple laptop once, and that was it. I never really got into Apple computers, but yeah, it's always like, people who in the early days, like in the first wave, people who got, when they went into states, they were excused from isolation, quarantine on compassionate grounds because they were there for a funeral. Then it turned out they were fucking positive and they infected other people. It was like, Jesus. I'll tell you the three things that, and it's kind of obvious, but three things that would make all our lives so much better. There's obviously the vaccine that everyone's focusing on, but we might never get one, or it might take years and it might not be that effective. Second one is effective treatments, effective, affordable, widely available treatments that greatly reduce the risk of serious illness and death. That would be great if we had that. We don't have that yet. That's actually probably more likely than a vaccine, but we don't have it. The third one would be a really fast test, like a close to instant test, like, almost like a bloody was that a litmus paper thing? Just like something if you could just put in your mouth and test, and within a few minutes you got a result. You just imagine, like, shopping centers and bars, pubs, and whatever, being able to do a really quick test to know whether people could go in. That would be good. Yes, nobody. Apple computers are deliberately hard to service because Apple don't want independent people doing anything with their computers. Yeah, see, Chris, I'm just in Windows from force of habit. I'm not a champion of Windows. It's literally force of habit. Maybe I should make this cocktail, this Patong Cocktail. Stir with ice, strain into a chilled glass. Hmm. How much sherry do I have left, actually? Because it's 75 mils of sherry. That's a lot of sherry. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe I should make it. Give it a test run. Justin, never buy pre-built desktops. They're a rip-off. Oh. Young Ms. Angry built my last PC and going to get help from Abigail to upgrade it when we're not locked down anymore. Got all the parts, and Abigail's going to upgrade it for me. Bebo, you got the iPhone 4, but once you got a repair bill for a broken screen, so to get an Android. Yeah. I always get really chunky cases for my phone because I'm very clumsy. And in fact, I only realized relatively recently this screen is actually cracked, but I've got a really tough cover on it. So it actually doesn't matter that there's a crack on the screen because it doesn't feel like there is. So also held together. There you go. Right. So I was still going on seeing if this site could inspire me. What's on the 15th? Land speed record. Anniversary is Britain's Great Storm, most dramatic weather to ever hit Blighty in 1987. Downed 15 million trees. Wow. There you go. What's a Beagle sidecar? I'm pretty intrigued by that because I like sidecars. So it's cognac ginger liqueur, lemon juice, sugar syrup, Peychaud's. Not that big on ginger. All right, so I got one idea out of this. Last word. National Liqueur Day. Yes. So they recommend a last word. Chartreuse and Maraschino. Hmm. Well. What's in a Dorian Gray? Rum, Grand Marnier, orange juice, cranberry juice. I was thinking of making a milk clarified drink once a week. Ooh, we're going about HP, so this is the most I've ever broken an iPhone screen, and there's just like a hairline crack on it. You can't really see and doesn't affect the. Ooh, what the heck? It's a hairline crack. Oh, you definitely won't be able to see it. Doesn't affect the screen at all, and because I've got this protector cover on, I don't feel it. So, Sava, who screamed in my background? Oh, sorry. You heard a scream. That would be Mrs. Angry watching TV in the next room, and the scream would be on the TV, not Mrs. Angry. And she's watching. It might be some Star Trek or something. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think I will try making this Patong Cocktail to see if it's any good. Though here's a page. A plain sherry cocktail. Please go away. What's this one? 2 ounces of sherry, bitters, maraschino. Well, that's astonishingly stupid and boring. Okay, I got to try this Patong Cocktail. Chris, you dropped yours in the toilet. I've done that with the phone once, I think. Had it in a top pocket of a shirt like this and made the mistake of leaning over and it just slid out. But, all right, so I've got to think on a liqueur front. Is there anything in this book about liqueurs? Tequila, rum, cachaça, jam, pisco, daiquiri, applejack, julep in the smash, grenadine, flip in the fizz, absinthe, sherry, pineapple. I have to think. I've got to do something for liqueur day, probably. Partly. I think my son wants to go to Vancouver, actually. Carl Peter, what am I pissed off about? Man, I'm fairly calm. The thing I'm most pissed off, most troubled by is the lies coming out of the White House about Trump. Apparently, Trump actually tweeted something about, COVID's no worse than the flu. And both Twitter and Facebook labeled that as false information, which always enrages Trump when that happens. Right, but I'm going to try this cocktail, see what it's like. Wait a second, I actually have to check how much sherry I have. I don't want to use it all. Okay. Phenol sherry. Oh, there's heaps. All right. Should chill a glass for a little while. One of these. Chill a glass. Right. And I want to stir this. What? I want Mac. Where's my Mac? All right. And Peychaud's bitters. Let us get our Peychaud's bitters. Ooh, that's what I got. I have to try out my Wonder Phone. All right. All right. Okay. Maybe I could do that for Wednesday night. A Wonder Phone comparison. Yes, Colin's social media war. Kirsten, if you're going to eat chips in bed, you should learn to sit on husband's side. Oh, yep. There you go. Catherine, I certainly always buy a protective cover for clothes. Every now and then I see people who don't have any sort of cover. And look, okay, so I don't know, what's this, 2 generations old, this phone? I don't even know which one it is. So with no cover, the iPhone is, a beautiful glassy slab. It's very beautiful. There's no two ways about it. And I put this big chunky cover on it, and it is bigger and chunkier. And I know some people don't like that, but God damn. People are braver than me if they don't put a cover on a phone. That's all I'm saying. Ugh, God, let's hope Trump goes away one way or the other, Annette. I'm very worried by it. Okay, I have not seen. There's a Netflix show called The Social Dilemma, basically about how evil social media is, and I have not watched it yet. But okay, I need to put this drink together. Got my bar spoon. Get some ice in my mixing glass. Okay. So, I need my jigger. Gotta get my jigger on. Okay. Freshly washed jigger. So, yes, Carl, I agree. The feel is better without the cover. Absolutely. I'm just not brave enough to do it. Oh no, Catherine, you tripped in the middle of crossing the road and you did a big stage fall and the phone took the brunt of it. So what did I say this was? 75 mils, I think. Right. 75 mils of sherry. Using up a bit of the old Fino sherry from Espanol. I only discovered relatively recently that you can only call a beverage sherry if it's from a particular region of Spain. That happened a while back. So it's become one of those protected things. So a lot of Australian makers who were making a sherry, all their sales went out the window because they had to change the name of the product and then no one knew what it was. The sherry equivalent made in Australia now is called Solera. And no one buys it because they don't know what it is. It's just sherry and 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. All right. Stir my little drink. Little bit of it was 2003. Thank you, Kirsten. Carl, why don't I open a bar? Because I have a job. A little bit of ASMR. Did I say? I said Solera, didn't I, Kirsten? It's a Pera, not Solera. Solera is something else. Thank you, Kirsten. Solera is a system of barrel management for making whiskey and bourbon. I could see setting up a bar for fun, but, I have a job. And it pays more than I'd ever make from a bar. So, I didn't get my bloody strainer either. Washed it as well. Okay. Get my glass out. Chilled it a little bit. Not much, but hey, every little bit helps. All right, let's try. Yeah, Robot Man Greg. Bar's doing great business in Melbourne. Yeah, it's a bit don't know which bars will even be able to reopen you know, if they've gone broke or whatever. So this is a Patong Cocktail. That's very interesting. It's got that very sort of dry flavor from, because it's half sherry. So it's got that very wine-like flavor as the dominant thing. The nut from the mac is coming through as well. It's not bad. Carl, you want a little one, shipping container size. One of my favorite bars in Melbourne only holds about 10 people. Kirsten, you actually hate making drinks. Okay. I really enjoy the making side of it. Don't know that I'd want to do it for a job, but I've really enjoyed playing with this stuff at home. It was okay. The arena, I don't really like it. I don't love it. If you like sort of dry cocktails, sort of, it's very light flavor. There's not much to it. It's mostly sherry, obviously. So I don't hate it, but it's not like every now and then I'll make one. It's like, fuck yeah, that's good. I'm making that again. It's not bad, but it's not one I'm really into. Carl, should be might amuse myself in retirement, open it 4 hours a day. Well, it would literally have to be I won lotto or something, and I was just doing something as a diversion. What I would probably actually have more fun is a social club, and with a nice bar. And what I'm thinking of a very specific place, actually. The Kindred Studios in Yarraville has rehearsal studios and TV studios and stuff. It'd be a place where YouTubers and podcasters could have some studio space to do their recording, and there's a little bar as well where people could hang and shoot the shit and whatnot. Oh yeah, Greg, my online bar is definitely still happening. See, that's for you. See, Kirsten, you found a job that you like, and some other people say it's boring. If you're good at it and enjoy it, then you're going to end up doing really well. Hey, Chris, you're back. Oh, yes, after that, I saw that headline on one of the news sites. Yarraville got called one of the coolest places in the world to live. I lived there about 15 years ago. About 15 years ago, I lived in Yarraville. And it is a nice place. I like Yarraville. Carl, have a streamed bar. Could do that. Yeah, but yeah, I'd even like a social club, something that creative people like have some recording studios, and have like a chill space and just a little bar, maybe a few cocktails. So have I lived in all of Melbourne? No, I lived in the West. So I hopped around Footscray, Sunshine, Yarraville, sort of inner West, for a fefew years. And then when I met Mrs. Angry, she was living in East St Kilda, and the lease ran out on the place I was in Yarraville. So I thought, I'm going to take the big plunge and I'll move across to East St Kilda. So I spent a year in an apartment in East St Kilda, and things were still going well with Mrs. Angry, and it was about the 18-month mark at that point. So we decided to move in together, and it's been that way ever since. So, yeah. These are really fun ideas, Carl. Have streaming stuff, have 4 people at a time, that 90 shows on SBS where he interviewed randoms. I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, Kirsten, that's pretty cool that you actually got poached. That's a real strong mark that you're very good at your work. Very, very impressed with your move onward and upward there. It's pretty damned impressive. Chris, you were with your one allotted person friend for COVID. Everywhere drove home. I've worked there. I've worked there. I've worked there. Ah, that's interesting stuff. Your mum's down's building concrete for the Westgate Tunnel. That's a very heavy construction work. Ophelia, would I open a bar on the Pacific Presses in the late 70s? The White Isaac. Just call me the White Isaac. You know what? Really kind of got by me watching The Love Boat as a kid, that all the people were basically pretty depraved and having random sex, because all I really noticed was the conservative moralizing of the storylines, because they're on a cruise and getting drunk and rooting like rabbits, but there would always be a really conservative moral message. Yes, that was the mysterious kitchen visitor, Chris. Carl, do I watch White Underbelly YouTube channel? Never heard of it. Ooh, Kirsten, you're moving into a 3-story distillery for your new job. That's pretty impressive. And Crawley sugar syrup is rubbish. Make your own. If you feel like getting creative, make an oleosaccharum sugar syrup, but experiment with making your own sugar syrups. Use different sugars. Like, it's so easy. You just put it on the stove. 50% sugar, 50% water. Use white sugar. You get a simple syrup. Use an unrefined sugar like Demerara sugar, and you get a much more flavorful dark syrup. But I would definitely recommend making your own sugar syrup, because it's pretty easy and tastes better than the ones that get sold in the shops. And yeah, but oleosaccharum is a really good one. Peel some citruses, cover them in sugar, leave it for a day or so. Sugar leaches all the oils out of the citrus peel, and then add hot water to that, mix it in so all the sugars dissolve, and then strain it. And you have this really zingy, citrusy sugar syrup. It's really good. And I made you sing The Love Boat. The Love Boat, soon you'll be making... Yeah, you know what brought home to me that The Love Boat was full of just casual sex, because I'd never really paid attention to it. Because I was Catholic, grew up Catholic, and my parents would get the Catholic newspaper, which came out once a week or once a month or something, and the bishop did his reviews of TV shows, and he hated The Love Boat because they're all just having random sex. And it wasn't until he said that it occurred to me, oh, so conservative people might just fixate on the fact they're all having sex. All I saw was this really conservative moralizing in the storylines. Oh, and he hated the goodies too, because the goodies was too rude. And I used to watch the goodies all the time. Yeah. If it's a really thick one, Annette, you've really got to mix it. Really got to mix it. If it's too thick, add some water to it. Like, seriously, like, not a lot. Just boil some water in the kettle and pour it into the bottle, and just dilute it a bit and shake it so it mixes in, and then it won't be as thick. But definitely experiment with making your own, because it's really easy, and you can do a lot of variety. And you put whatever you like. Make a cinnamon syrup. Put some cinnamon sticks in it while you simmer it on the stove, and then you get that sort of the zesty cinnamon taste in there as well. Yes, we mentioned the goodies. Tim Brooke Taylor died from COVID. He was at the time probably the biggest celebrity to have died from COVID. Of course, the biggest name, I think, to die from COVID is Herman Cain. But it could soon be Trump. It could soon be Trump. It could soon be Trump. That's just a song I decided made up called It Could Soon Be Trump. I don't know who came up with it first, but I love the idea. Oh, it would be fantastic. It would be poetic if his final words were, I can't breathe. Just with all the shit he's stirred up in America, there would be something poetic about his final words being, I can't breathe. Ooh, nice, Kirsten. Blake at Patient Wolf makes snow pea syrup for the snow pea fizz. So I did not see the PM coughing today in the news. Is that Scotty from marketing, PM? Is that who we're talking about? Yeah, Raiders, there wasn't any news today. Like, Trump didn't appear publicly today. There was basically, he wasn't seen, which doesn't really speak well of his condition. So he's... well, no, buddy, that's taking the irony a bit far. I don't see the situation where Trump's going to die from a white cop leaning on his neck, but yeah, so exactly. Now, I don't know if the fates could resist Trump making Trump say, I can't breathe as he passed out. Robot Man Greg, you joke, if the Rona doesn't kill Trump, maybe the drugs will. The cocktail they put him on was a desperate move, because a lot of those don't go well together, basically. So no, I didn't watch The Budget. Oh my God, I'd rather fucking put sulfuric acid in my eye sockets. Anything that comes out of The Budget's going to be reported ad nauseum in the press, so I don't need to watch Josh fucking Frydenberg get up and fucking lie. Yes, Invisible Chicken, he's been infected by hope. Hope could kill him. Which, again, tying back to that being Obama's slogan as well. There's a certain dark humor in that. That could work for the Sealer if they ship over the Trump puppet from Spitting Image. I don't know that we'd tell the difference. Look, yeah, Trump is definitely struggling. And I still say, like, it would be very bad for the world if he did not get a very bad case of COVID, like if he didn't get quite sick. Because if he gets a very mild case with, that doesn't knock him about too much, we've already seen he's been saying ridiculous shit about how good he is and whatnot. And it would just undermine the public health message everywhere, because he's just a fucking piece of shit. And Raiders, I'm actually with you 100%. Trump could die. His press secretary could say he's doing fine. And those fucking doctors that front up, like media saying, is the president actually dead? And they just say, well, he's not on oxygen. It's like, yeah, but is he dead? He's not on oxygen. It's just like, is he dead? He's not getting any worse. What the fuck? Just the layers of lies is fucking ridiculous. So, how much would the stock market crash if Trump tried while in office? Look, it probably would. And the stock market is fucking meaningless, okay? The stock market is horoscopes for Wall Street guys. The stock market is fucking meaningless. And the idea that it's a measure of how well people are doing is a fucking farce. Carl, is which bit bans? Well, we've toyed with the idea, like if someone recklessly spread COVID, should they face criminal prosecution? If he's not taking advice from doctors, walking around as a man, if he infects someone else who gets sick or dies, yeah. It's, it's ridiculous. The whole thing's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, life might be simple. Like I said, if he just got really sick and withdrew from the presidential election because he's too sick to fulfill the role, as much as that would still let him be a fuckhead and snipe from the sidelines, it would be less damaging than there being an election that he loses, but he keeps telling all his lunatic followers that it's it's a fraud. They cheated. Oh, it's the conspiracy, the deep state. It's like, what the fuck? I think we'd be better off if he got sick and he withdrew. Because, like I said, I really believe it's absolutely impossible to predict someone as unhinged as him. I believe he could come to the realization that being sick and withdrawing from the presidential race would be an actual significant win for him, because he could carry on all these bullshit from the sidelines and say, I never lost an election. I'd still be president, except I took a time off. I could go back, and he could bask in the limelight of his fuckery without the actual pressure of being president. But honestly, as horrible as that would be, I think it would be preferable to him losing an election and then just saying it was fraudulent and and that would be bad. But yes. Safri is Pence on the vice presidential debate. That is a good question. VP, but when is the vice presidential debate? Here's what we know. Thursday, October 8, tomorrow, lunchtime. I could take lunchtime off and look at it. It's between 12 and 1:30 p.m. Australian time tomorrow. Yeah. There you go. Maybe I'll take a break at lunchtime and watch it. Maybe it'll be less painful than the presidential one. He's quoting the Bible now, Revelations 13. The beast is given power and authority to blaspheme. He is worshipped, but is mortally wounded. Another is given his power and the power to project his image and let the beast speak. That is a very portentous quote right there. It's very portentous. I can put my mic in stereo mode and give anyone who's listening with headphones traumatic ASMR by quoting the book of Revelations in a guttural voice and moving from side to side. Although no one ever likes it when I do that. Everyone's always off-put if I do ASMR things. But, Invisible Chicken, there's no way I'm watching it for 90 minutes. I might kind of dip in and out. the idea of watching Pence for 90 minutes is no, that's a big no. And yes, Safar, the shut up man debate was cringe, so fucking cringe. It was embarrassing to watch. It was a sign of a country in decay. Like, America's a fucking failed state. Yeah. Well, Invisible Chicken, it's true that Trump is very incoherent and sounds stupid, but that doesn't affect his public standing at all. He says absolutely incoherent, rambling bullshit, and it doesn't affect his support in the slightest, which is absolutely horrifying. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, Philo Sila. Pence as a really hardcore evangelical who, believes being gay is mental illness and you can torture gay kids into not being gay. Pence is an absolutely terrifyingly dangerous ideologue. But he's actually within certain parameters that the establishment like that Trump is outside of. Like, Trump's always upset the establishment by being rude, by being obnoxious, by being deranged. And Pence would not do any of the deranged shit that Trump does, but Pence would pursue his Christofascist agenda like nothing else. Raiders, do we know who's moderating the VP debate? I certainly don't. Let's see if I can find out, though. Have your snacks ready. There's no commercial breaks. It's going to be at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, which is interesting. So this is interesting. They're going to be seated, and there are plexiglass shields between them, even though apparently the Pence campaign was arguing they didn't want to. 12 feet apart at the request of the Biden campaign. With plexiglass. Okay, here we go. What do we know about the moderator? Someone Page. Who is it? Must have said a name before. Moderator will be USA Today Bureau Chief Susan Page. That's the information we wanted. She's covered 10 presidential election campaigns, 6 White Houses, and interviewed the past 9 US presidents. She faced criticism recently when it was revealed she had hosted an off-the-record event at her home honoring recent Trump administration appointees. USA Today said the event fell within the ethical standards our journalists are expected to uphold. Page hasn't commented publicly on what happened at the first presidential debate. Despite being a vastly experienced journalist, this will be the first time she's moderated a presidential or vice presidential debate. That's interesting. There you go. Ooh, I hear a sad, desperate cat meowing. Where is she? Is she outside? Not opening the back door if you're outside, stupid cat. You know where your cat door is. Raiders, I've never heard of her before, but then again, I've never heard of anyone who works for USA Today. Shannon, hello. How you doing? On the Facebook. Feel that she should make the moderator Big Bird or maybe Oscar. I always like that someone did a meme of Samuel L. Jackson being the moderator and said, I said 2 minutes, motherfucker. something like that. It's just like the world has gone to shit so much. It's like can't focus on the real problems because Trump and his type make this weird surface level problem. Like, hey, that shit he's doing, that's not normal. That's not acceptable. But on the scale of things, like, things like racial justice, climate disaster, etc., Trump being a rude prick is absolutely inconsequential, but it's so in your face. It's really hard to not get swept up in it. What the fuck is that? Sounded like a possum. Christ, I'm getting weird noises coming from outside. Okay. If you see tell me if if you see someone with a hockey mask at the window, I'd really like to know. Good God. No, but you think his revelation's actually going to come? We live in very strange times. Raiders, I assume Pence will be polite as well. Like, I cannot conceive of Pence being as obnoxious as Trump. I can conceive of interruptions and whatnot, but I can't conceive of the insanity of Trump. Shannon, people are screaming Biden didn't answer questions. I agree with you. He couldn't get a word in edgeways over Trump screaming like a 10-year-old kid. Anyone who would say that about Biden was always going to say it no matter what Biden said. It's just ideological hacks are just going to say what they say no matter what the reality actually is. Louis Vuitton, nothing controversial coming up about Paige. The most controversial thing is she appears to be an active supporter of Trump, which is a thing you're allowed to be. I think you're a fuckwit if you are, but it's a thing people are allowed to be fuckwits. And you did a fourth-year thesis on US conspiracy theories. Yeah, they're pretty full on. It's usually the stranger the times are, the more prone people are to conspiracies, because when people look around and feel like they have no control over what's happening, that there's too many unknowns, that the world is too messed up, people tend to gravitate towards conspiracies, because conspiracies can give you a sense of knowing, even though what you think you know is utter horse shit. A lot of people are more comfortable with embracing absolutely stupid conspiracies and feeling like they know what's going on, rather than accepting the fact the world is weird, fucked up, and random, and that you cannot control the world. You cannot control events. And that scares some people too much, and they gravitate to believing stuff that's patently stupid because it makes them feel confident. It makes them feel like they know what's going on. And they prefer embracing a ridiculous conspiracy than accepting that the world is big, chaotic, and random, and something cataclysmic could happen at any moment. You have no control over it. Oh, yeah, right. It's like Q. Jesus Christ. That's all the conspiracy stuff that's been bubbling under the surface for such a long time has just exploded with this QAnon bullshit. And it's causing big problems, very big problems. So, yeah. It's even when some very clever sleuthing people have pretty much conclusive. Well, no, I don't know if conclusively is the right word, but they've provided really compelling evidence of who's behind the Q bullshit, and they're just scammers. They're just straight up grifters. It's not even a liar inside the Trump White House spreading bullshit. It's a grifter who saw how susceptible people were to this sort of shit, so invented this concept of Q, the secret person with Q clearance, and it's just been a grift about manipulating people from the get-go, and it's really, really, as I said, the evidence is quite compelling as to the grifters who are behind it, but it doesn't penetrate to the people being sucked in at all. And yes, Raiders, it is unfortunately right here in Melbourne, in Australia, one of the loudest mouths in the Q world in Australia gets invited to barbecues at Scotty from Marketing's place. His wife works on the Prime Minister's staff. That is absolutely fucking terrifying, that the leading proponent of these absolute fucking lies in Australia socializes with the Prime Minister. It's fucking ridiculous. Nobody, your computer's getting grumpy. Back after restart. It's not that far off bedtime, so if your computer gives you problems, I might actually be gone, but, 10 minutes. Yeah, it is really disturbing to countenance that the possibility of Scotty from Marketing having this conspiracy fuckwit in his ear. Yes. Louboutin, there was a good podcast I found recently, a podcast called Reply All. They did some good investigating on who was likely behind it. But yeah, and it probably started on 8chan. And they basically interviewed the guy who created 8chan, who in retrospect seriously regrets having invented 8chan. Nobody, you're back. That was quick. But yeah, it was shit. It was basically shit posting on the Chan boards, and people got sucked into it. Initially, not so much, but I don't know. At some point, it sort of snowballed, and it is just this collective mass delusion that is actually quite disturbing. See, I keep lipping my lips. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna put some lip balm on before going to bed. Oh, right, you boot from SSD. Okay. Makes sense you were so quick then. It's basically, the whole Q thing is some grifters worked out the hooks that got people in, and then just created this whole fake thing to suck people in just because they wanted to manipulate people. Yeah, and the pig farmer lives in the Philippines. He runs child porn sites, yeah. And the degree to which we've seen in the last, certainly since the internet, but particularly since probably the last 5-6 years, like the lead up to the last presidential election when Trump came in, the degree to which we've seen how easy it is to manipulate and inflame people, and it's quite creepy how easy it is to suck people in with completely false information, if you hit their emotional buttons, and this isn't limited to, QAnon and Trump cronies. I can think of cases where I've been sucked in that basically, a story fit in exactly with how I see the world and triggered an emotional response. And I've shared it, and it turns out to not be true. And it turns out finding out it wasn't true isn't that difficult. But so I've tried to train myself to be aware of that. If a headline triggers an emotional response in you, and it doesn't matter if the response is negative or positive. But yeah, if it's going, yeah, I like that person. That's great. They're definitely great. They definitely did that great thing. Or if it triggers a negative one, like, oh, those fucking scum, I hate them. That's so typical of them. I fucking hate them. If a story or a headline triggers a strong emotional response and fits in exactly with your worldview, it's really important to be cautious and find independent verification for it. Because I've fallen for it, shared things just because it felt like they were real. It felt like, yeah, that's true. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. I'm angry about that, or I'm happy about that. Happy works too, not as well as angry. Negative works better than positive, but positive works as well. So if you find yourself in that situation as a story or even just a headline shared on social media, and your initial response is a really strong emotional response, and this story fits in exactly with your worldview, take the time before perpetuating it, take the time to find a reputable source corroborating it. It's like, because I see people all the time on Facebook sharing some ridiculous fucking sensationalistic headline, and it's from, bobsworldview.com. Like, that's not, that thing you're sharing is structured to look like a news story, but it's not a news story. It's not from a news site. If that incredibly outrageous thing you are posting was true, all the major media outlets would also be reporting on it. And this is probably one of the most damaging things Trump and his cronies have done, that fake news, and talking about alternative facts, undermining the very concept of a common understanding of reality, is so fucking dangerous and so damaging. It's right up there with the worst things they've done. And yes, they've inflicted horrible conditions on people, but that destroying the concept of a collective understanding of what's real, that's society destroying. The stuff they've done to individual people and groups of people, kids in cages and all that sort of thing, is fucking terrible. But I really worry about the stuff they're doing, like, that's at the society destroying level. It's like, Jesus. It's very, very, very dangerous. The idea of just being able to destroy the concept of reality is very bad. Louis Vuitton, you're heading out. I'm heading out too, actually, because it's bedtime. It's bedtime for me. Bedtime for Bonzo. Well, that was the name of the first movie Ronald Reagan was in, I think. He co-starred with a chimp. Actually, it's not necessarily his first movie. I know why I thought it was his first movie. It was the first movie shown at the Valhalla Cinema in Sydney. Bedtime for Bonzo. Yes, so I'm going to go to bed. So I hope all you fine folk look after yourselves. I hope you keep well, and I hope to catch up with you again soon. But I'm going to bed now, so bye for now.